Good evening, one and all, and good morning to some places out there who are listening in. Every day, just madness, craziness, insanity. Biden only lasted 36 days before he had to cut loose with a U.S. military airstrike in Syria on a building allegedly being used by Iranian-backed rebels. We believe that, right? We believe everything they say. Meanwhile, Senator Rand Paul he absolutely just destroyed that crazy Dr. Rachel Levine over its desire to give hormone therapy to little 3-year-old children to change their sexes. This country is gone. This kind of thing, if somebody were to tell me this 5 or 10 years ago, I would say it's not possible. It just couldn't happen here. But that and much more is in fact going on all the time. Wow. All right. Devvy Kidd is up first tonight. She's got 3 very important things on her agenda. Whenever we hear of a new House bill being passed, if you look at it, you find things that have nothing to do with the actual alleged intent of the bill. You find pork, you find lies, you find things that are just thrown in there because they're using it as a coattail kind of a thing in a legislative way to get things passed. Hello, Devvy, welcome back.
Hi. Unbelievable.
Say something.
Unbelievable. Where's the State of the Union address? It's long gone for normal for presidents, and he's not the president. He's a criminal.
No, there's no State of the Union address.
You know why there's no State of the Union address? Because they know he can't do it. Even with a teleprompter in front of him, they know
an hour-long
address? They cannot put him
No.
For a joint session of Congress. It would be an absolute, beyond anything, disaster. Absolute disaster. I wanted to talk about H.R. 1, which the House of Socialists and Communists, of course, passed. And, of course, my computer is going to act up right now, and it's going to freeze. How nice of it. Anyway, this bill is now in the Senate. Oh, maybe we're back to normal. Okay. $1.9 trillion COVID that nobody has been able to identify at this point. $1.9 trillion relief package. Now, $350 billion will be for state and local governments and tribal governments. And some GOP governors and mayors actually support it. So what they want to do is give this money to cities like Chicago and other Democrat-run metropolitan areas who have totally spent themselves into poverty, and we are
they'll never get out either. Never.
No. So $350 billion, nothing. Just absolutely nothing. Aid to schools, the bill calls for $130 billion in additional help to schools for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. The money would be used to reduce class sizes and modify classrooms to enhance the nonsense called social distancing. There's still $60 billion left from the last bill that was passed that hasn't even been used. Put another $40 billion for colleges and universities to defray the institution's pandemic-related expenses. Aid to businesses, airlines, eligible contractors, $15 billion. This is the third round for airlines.
You know, when I was a little kid, this is important, and you too, when I used to hear politics on the radio being discussed, invariably, it always mentioned more money for education, more money for schools. Money will never solve the school problem. Never has, never will. I'm sorry, go ahead. We're going to have to reconnect
not to mention the fact that children have much stronger immune systems than adults. We have to remember that we're at a 70% obese level in this country, which puts people who are not taking care of themselves at greater risks of getting this flu strain. And there's a new program for restaurants and bars, $25 billion. 25. Here in Texas, our stupid ass governor, Republican Abbott, 10,000 businesses in this state are dead and never coming back. And a great deal of them were bars and restaurants over a big lie.
Those people are never going to recover. Their lives are ruined. They've lost everything. Yes. And yes. They're going to be a lower class, tragically. They don't deserve it.
Over a virus, an alleged virus that has not been identified.
40 different countries can't identify it.
The CDC
they find little pieces of genetics they claim are related to it. That's all they can do.
No. They're lying. They are lying.
Of course they're lying.
And unless the American people stand up, the letter's done that we're sending to our Austin, to our health and safety committees in House and Senate. We want them to conduct an investigation into this. In my column, was it last week or the week before, was a link to that NBC interview with the big honcho over there in Wuhan on January 23rd. And the reporter asked him, why have you not shared data? And right out of his mouth, he said, they never, what do you call it? I'm having a brain freeze. Oh, I'll think of it in a second.
Go ahead, onward. And this is all true.
Everybody should be doing this in their state. We are respectfully asking for an investigation into this. You get a hold of the CDC, etc. We also respectfully request a forensic audit of all the death certificates from March 1st of 2020 till now, because we know that they've lied and overinflated this 10 times, 1,600%, I guess was the figure, 1,600%. This is the only way we're going to get this exposed. But going back to the bill, raising the minimum wage, gradually raising the federal minimum. Where in the Constitution does it give Congress the authority to tell the private sector employers that they will pay their employees X amount of dollars per hour? Nowhere. They don't have any authority to do this. They might be able to get away with it for federal contractors, but no way. And all it does is create unemployment. And this all goes back to the Federal Reserve again. This all goes back to the bastardization of the dollar. It goes back to the manipulation of our money. When a dollar is only worth 4 cents in purchasing power today, that is the problem. It's $15 an hour, but your dollar, your dollar is only worth 4 cents in purchasing power.
You wait. The Weimar inflation is about to hit hugely. Christmas Eve 1913 was the official end of America when they passed the Federal Reserve Act on Christmas Eve.
This is, and I feel bad for people, but the minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. But once again, it doesn't matter if you make $100 an hour. If the purchasing power, which it is today, of a $1 note by the Federal Reserve is worth 4 cents. That's why everything seems so more expensive. It's because your purchasing power continues to go down the toilet.
Go into the store and all of you have, and all of a sudden your favorite food item, and rather than weighing 14 ounces, now weighs 12 ounces or 10 ounces. It's a smaller portion. prices the same or higher. That's one way they do it. Okay? You're going to see a lot more of this. I am really not optimistic, Devvy. And all of these people who have lost their businesses, their livelihoods, their life savings, decades of work, they're never going to be able to claw their way back. It's almost impossible now. The system is stacked against them.
Yes, and this will create more poverty. And this is from the ABC News. This is from these intellectually lazy or intellectually ignorant. It says on the plus side, about 900,000 people would be lifted out of poverty once the 15-hour wage is fully in place. No. Because when California voters voted in the $15 an hour minimum wage out there, the first thing that happened was 400,000 jobs went down the drain. So no, it won't make it any better.
Yeah.
But of course, and the other pork, we have $100 million bridge just south of Nancy Pelosi's district in Silicon Valley. Not a bridge, a tunnel. $100 million. And I forget the amount for a bridge for Chucky Schumer in upstate New York to Canada.
What is this tunnel for?
I don't know. I couldn't get any details on it. But here's the other kicker. Only 10% of the $1.9 trillion has anything to do with health issues and this phantom virus. 10%. The other 90% of the money won't even be able to be spent until 2022. That's a fact. Some of it will not be able to be spent until 2023.
I'm sorry. This is a government of, by, and for the people.
Let me
right?
tell you, the clock's ticking.
Wow.
I watched a video of a man in New York. Unfortunately, he can't get past the F word, but he owns a business. He employs 9 people, and he brought them together and he said, I'm going to fire 3 of you. You voted for Biden. I warned you. I told you what was going to happen, and you didn't listen. And now there's going to be a $15 an hour minimum wage, and I cannot afford to keep you. So the 3 of you who voted for Biden that brought us to this, you're fired. And he did.
Well, okay, I understand what he's saying. Fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter who they voted for. The election was rigged. It was a fraud. Biden got about 35 million votes. Trump got about 80. That's the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is also Trump did not stand up and fight for this like a Patrick Henry would have. And I know you're big on American history, as you should be. You know more about it than most anyone I've ever known. This man did not distinguish himself. He turned and he walked. And the worst thing he did was not to blanket pardon everybody he asked to go to the Capitol on January the 6th. Come on. Let's hold this guy accountable. He also made, was it $1.5 billion? He increased his nest egg, $1.5 billion while he was president.
Well, I read the breakdown where he lost almost $2 billion.
Well, I'll send you the story I got, and probably both of them are flawed. I don't know.
Well, the bottom line is that everybody, and I know you're going to put this up on YouTube, thank you, so we can put a link in my column. We need everybody, regardless of whether it's a Democrat or Republican in the Senate, to vote no on H.R. 1 and remind them that what is going to happen, not if, but it's when, and the when is coming up soon. We are reaching the level when all of the income for the government will not even meet the interest on this national debt created by these slimy criminals in Washington, D.C. that call themselves Congress from both parties. They are going to bring this entire economy to a crash. It was already underway when President Trump was in office. It was already underway because 2008 was not taken care of the proper way, which was to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Ron Paul had a bill in 2007 to get rid of the Federal Reserve. And of course, it was completely ignored. It had no co-sponsors because all they want to do is spend, spend, spend. And you can only put so much air into a balloon before it blows up. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And the Fed is trapped. They've got to keep printing and printing and printing. The world is out of money. The debt load is over $250 trillion around the world. There's no way to pay all of this, and it is going to happen. And I wish that, it was going to be different, but it's not. It is going to be catastrophic, and this $1.9 trillion nightmare, remind your senator of that. And not that they'll listen.
They don't care. They don't care. There's nothing they can do about it. They don't care. Here, look, this has all been done with utter intent. It's all being done by the plan. They're going to crash it all. They're not quite ready yet, I'm told. Another year, and they'll be ready to bring in the blockchain. That'll be it. It'll all be blockchained. Everything we know now will be gone. This is all happening. It's all been planned.
Is that
it's all going to be run on the blockchain.
Is that cryptocurrencies?
That's how they're currently run, yes. But the blockchain is a technology.
The cryptocurrencies that are worth zero. They're worth nothing.
They're worth a lot to a lot of people. I know people who have made many millions of dollars already, and they can cash it in at any time. So you got one worthless currency.
They can cash in their cryptocurrency for dollars.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. So you got one form of currency, the dollar, which is worth nothing. It's a function of psychology. And the other one, cryptocurrencies, which is a function of psychology. Neither are backed by anything. So take your pick. Choose your poison. There's nothing there. It's all going to the blockchain. It'll all be digitized very soon. Very soon.
I disagree with that, but that's okay. I don't think.
Oh, no, we'll see. That's fine. I'm glad.
Well,
good. I'm going to report you, though, but go ahead.
The bottom line is that the American people are not going to be prepared for it, just like they weren't in 2008.
They're not prepared for anything. Maybe 2-3% are prepared.
When we saw what happened here in Texas last week for 10.
That's right. Now, I want to ask you when we come back, you've got some other things to cover, but there is talk that there was some strong suggestions of intent there, like they were beta testing the crash of a grid to see how people would act. And anyway, when we come back, I'd like to get your thoughts on that, and we'll continue with your agenda. Devvy and I will be right back. Okay, right back with you and Devvy Kid. All right, there have been a lot of conspiracy theories, which always happen when anything unusual transpires now, and it has to do with Texas and the grid. Any truth to any of this as far as you can tell? Were there any intentional efforts made on behalf of the controlling elite to see how the mice would fare when they shut their power off?
No, it's all clickbait. First of all, we talked about this off the air. Polar vortex is nothing new. The first one was recorded in 1887. It does happen. In 2011, this entire basin was nothing but ice. I mean, it was really bad. So after 2011, the Texas government and the power companies, they were warned. They were warned that they were not prepared, that the power plants were not being winterized simply because we don't have these kind of weather events in these warmer states. There were 30 other states that were also affected, and everybody was fighting to get some power. And of course, we know what happened with the frozen turbines. We know that. And the solar panels They were frozen too, so they did nothing. We have 4 nuclear power plants in the state of Texas. All
Not
4 of
good.
them. Huh?
I don't like nuclear power plants. They scare me.
They don't scare me at all.
Too many things can go wrong.
Well, they don't scare me. Chernobyl and Fukushima are 2
And
examples.
don't forget 3 Mile Island, which came within an eyelash of being Fukushima.
Right. Chernobyl was a long time ago. Technology's come a long way since then. Fukushima.
Yes, dear. But point well taken. And I'd like to add another. Many of these plants are over 35 years old now, and they've just been certified to continue operating after the end of their shelf life, which is about 30 to 35 years. Some have been doubled to 60.
I don't believe that's
we're going to get our
4.
ass kicked again. You watch.
I don't believe that's the 4 here in Texas. It might be in other parts of the country, but
look up their initial operating date just when you get a chance and see.
Yeah,
you might be surprised.
It's the cleanest form of energy there is, but you cannot sustain a state using. Rick Perry promoted these windmills and the solar panels. That took up 24% of the power in this state. And when a disaster hit, as it did, there was 24% that we did not have. Now, I think I'm going to do it in my column.
The biggest wind farms were owned by the Chicoms. Did you know that?
And I don't know who owns all of them in this state, but
2 of them were owned by Chinese communist businesses.
Nothing would surprise me because these dirty traders in Congress have been willing to allow the Chinese to come over and buy up everything. But I watched a documentary yesterday. Everybody should watch it. I forget the name of it, but of all people who is involved in this project is Michael Moore, the propaganda filmmaker. You know who he is. The poster boy for gluttony. Do you know what the film is about? It is about the fact that all of this alternative energy is a disaster, that it is not sustainable.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Kind of a strange twist, isn't it?
What?
It's a little bit of a strange twist that sustainable energy, all natural now, is no longer sustainable or natural.
Well, I was shocked when I found out that Michael Moore was involved in making the film. And the film proves that this climate change baloney is exactly that all of this so-called clean energy will not sustain humans. It's unreliable, and it leaves a wasteland out there. And they had all the pictures of people don't realize how many birds are killed by those windmills.
Yeah, I don't like them. No.
2.9 billion birds have been killed. Billion.
So far.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The windmills that are left that are no good anymore because they don't last that long. And they leak, I forget what chemical it is. It's in the film. It's in all this clean energy. It's an environmental disaster.
Well, okay. I have no doubt that what he has found is probably provable. Hydrogen is an answer. Nuclear power plants are not the answer, especially when they're operating past the end of their useful life and they're leaking, like Indian Point leaks. They all leak. Anybody living within 60 miles is clearly in trouble over time, and that all can be measured. It's all demonstrable. It's not a lie. I hate nuclear power. Worst thing we ever did, in my humble opinion. But to hear Michael Moore making a film about the crown jewels of the alternative energy movement is very interesting.
Yes,
and exposing them for frauds. They're obviously, if what you're saying is true, it's a fraud. It's another boondoggle, a money making for the people involved, but it's a money loser for the public.
For humans. I mean,
that's right.
The documentary was shocking to me. Because
What's it called? Do
he's
you know? Do you remember?
I forget. But I want to
Send
move
it
on.
to me. Send
Yeah.
it to me. I want to see this. Thanks.
Okay. The next thing I want to go over was the Republicans are playing the same stupid game that they always play. The Democrats have this going to fix the election system. They want to change the way elections are held forever.
Uh-huh.
Well, so the Republicans, instead of saying, wait, we have no authority to do that. The only authority that Congress has regarding elections are federal elections. Going back to Foster v. Love, Supreme Court decision, that was thoroughly discussed in oral arguments that the states, they're the ones that have the right as sovereign states to make the election laws. The only thing that Congress can do is set the law, which the law says that federal elections end at midnight on election day. So all 6 states violated federal election law, and John Roberts had to know it. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that it was just fine for mail-in ballots to come in 3 days after the election. Now, when the cases went to the Supreme Court and the decision came out, was it earlier this week, and they wouldn't hear the cases, you can't tell me that John Roberts did not know about Foster v. Love. Those people on the Supreme Court have got 2 dozen clerks who do nothing but, claw through all these law books and decisions and everything else. Right. So you need to call your federal House member and senator and tell them you have no authority under the Constitution to dictate to the states what they will or will not do as far as mail-in ballots, voter ID, or anything else. Your constitutional authority only exists for federal elections, and tell these damn gutless, squishy Republicans to stop playing ball with the Democrats.
This goes to show more than ever that there really aren't 2 parties. The dividing line is virtually non-existent anymore. How many rhinos are there in Congress now?
Well, they're ignorant. They're just plain ignorant of what the Constitution says. But it's up to us to tell these Republicans, House and the Senate, you have no constitutional authority, and I'm going to make sure that my representative and senator in my state legislature tells you we are not going to play your game. We will set our elections the way that we want under the 10th Amendment. So what are you going to do about it? We have to raise our voices and be warriors. Americans can no longer just be observers. I spend a lot of time hounding these people and trying to encourage people to become involved. We all have obligations, family obligations, jobs obligations. Sadly, some, might be listening, don't have a job right now. This is a good time to get involved because it's the only way. The House, especially the House, the election's next year. Okay? Now, because of what happened with stealing this last election, I do believe that there will be more candidates who demand forensic audits if they lose.
Well, good luck getting them. I concur. They should.
No. A candidate does have the right to do that. I believe it was North Carolina today passed the voter ID for absentee ballots. So the states are working on it, but you need to tell your House member and your senators, under the Constitution, you have no legislative authority to dictate to the states how they will conduct their elections. The only thing you have any say in is for federal elections, period. We have to raise our voices with these people and not just complain about it. Complaining doesn't get the job done. I'm tired I do this 24/7 for going on 31 years. So we need Americans to become warriors. I was at the store the other day, and there Hispanic folks, and the man was standing there, and I said, "Oh, well, the city council meeting was canceled last night, or postponed, because I was supposed to speak Tuesday night at the city council, but the pipes burst in the basement, so they had to shut off the power. So I'll speak this coming Tuesday night at the city council." But this man piped up, and he says, "I've been paying more attention to this. I'm worried about my children." And I said, "Good for you." I said, you can come to the city council meeting in person, no mask required, or you can watch it on channel 17. I said, and there's an election going on. I said, early voting's right now. I said, "Are you in District 5 or 6? He said, District 5. I said, "You need to get down to the courthouse and vote." Because I'm the one who initiated. He's in District 6. I'm in District 5. Here in District 5, we're electing a new city council member, the same as District 6. I'm the one who filed the paperwork to recall our city councilwoman, Mrs. Strandy, and we voted her out of office, which has made me very unpopular with 6 of the city council members, except for the mayor, because mayor's a friend. But I said, but it was good that I heard, here's an American, doesn't look like he might be, too interested in things. I'm busy, he owns the store and everything. But it was good to hear him say, "I've been paying more attention to this, and I've been looking into some of the issues and stuff." That's good. That's good that people are, at least he's, starting to make the effort. But particularly on this voting thing, what the Democrats want to do, we know what their game plan is. They want universal mail-in ballots and automatic registration for anybody and everybody, no vetting. That's what they want.
Automatic registration, huh?
What?
Automatic registration.
Yes, that's right. That's right. They're going to,
You step across the border and you're automatically registered.
Well, why do you think Biden, look at what's happening right now. We've got thousands of illegal minors being dumped by their parents, and they're going back to South America or back to wherever they live in Mexico. So we have all of these illegal alien minors that are now being taken by bus or plane to U.S. homes. Okay? Department of Health and Human Services, that its Office of Refugee Settlement is authorizing programs to pay transport fees for unaccompanied children, including airline tickets, and shipping them to homes in the U.S. Because this is what they want, open borders, and now they're foisting all of these unaccompanied children, flying them in all over the country. And let me tell you that some of the governors are starting to have a fit over this, because we're going to be raped. How many of you out there have trouble getting, affording braces for your children for their teeth, or paying your medical health plan? They all get this for, quote, free. All the American people do now is we're paying our tax money, which of course it's not really our tax money, because they have to borrow it from the Fed, because every penny of federal income tax goes to transfer payments, which is outside this country. So they borrow it, but it's still, we end up paying for it. We end up paying for all of this illegal aliens, now unaccompanied children, for free educations, free medical, free dental, free, until we have nothing left. I was just reading the other day about children down in the Laredo area and a couple other border crossing areas. Do you know that they bust those kids in from Mexico, especially New Mexico? New Mexico, that their policy is that any American citizen minor who lives in Mexico is entitled to come into the state to be educated every day and then go back across the border.
Wow.
That's right. These kids are coming across the border by bus into U.S. schools, paid for. Here in Texas, over $4 billion a year we're paying for illegal minor children. But now they're busing them across the border and they go back across the border. They're not American. If they're American citizens and not the so-called anchor baby, it's let them go to school wherever country their parents took them to.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolute, but we know what it's all about. We know what the open borders is. Get these people dependent upon the U.S. government for everything that they want or need in life, and they will vote Democrat every time. I'm telling you, it's, they're moving fast. Of course, here in Texas, with the winter weather, it does get really cold in the desert like Arizona and Texas and New Mexico. So they don't come, they're trying to, but not as much across the Rio Grande. But my sister lives an hour above San Diego, and they are just walking, literally flooding across the border, bringing their diseases with them and everything else because it's a sanctuary state.
So the dam has burst. They're rolling in.
And it's all deliberate, of course.
Yes. But I mean, it has happened. It's done.
Yes. Well, I mean, the only thing that these people in Washington in the Congress fear is not being reelected. That's all they care about. And if they think that they're not going to get reelected, they pull back. So only 1/3 of U.S. senators are up for reelection next year. That means 2/3 of them are, quote, safe, which is why I did my column a couple of weeks ago on the 17th Amendment. It will never happen, even though I proved it beyond any legal threshold, that the 17th Amendment was not ratified by enough states. They were 2 states short. It will not happen. The best we can hope for is for Congress to repeal the 17th Amendment. Now, the movement is bigger than you think. Do you know who Ben Sasse is?
Sass.
Yeah, Sass. He's the Trump-hating senator from Nebraska, calls himself a Republican. Right. Last September, he came out and said that we need to repeal the 17th Amendment now.
He's a communist. He's a communist in disguise.
Yeah, but
these people, they shouldn't be allowed to call themselves Republicans. If they're going to play the label game, they should at least pretend like they're actually what they say they are.
The bottom line is, it was very shocking to me to hear a senator say that it's, we need to repeal the 17th Amendment now. The movement to do that is much bigger than you think. And I covered all of it in my column.
Oh, God. Well, don't worry, Devvy, because Mitch McConnell today said that if Donald Trump was the nominee in 2024, he will absolutely support Donald Trump.
Well, Mitch McConnell won't be there in 2024.
I hope not.
Well,
not that I care, but the guy doesn't deserve to be there.
Mitch McConnell is owned by Communist China.
Yes, we know. And we've all seen the pictures of his Chi-Com wife. Yeah.
Well, he's 78 years old, for one thing. During the impeachment, during the breaks, watch him shuffle down the hallway. He won't be there. He won't be there in 2024. And Pelosi, she's already said that this is her last rodeo. So she'll be gone too. But, it's easy to keep defeatism. It's easy to adopt defeatism, but that ensures defeat. So we have to just keep plugging away, just like Samuel Adams. Samuel Adams, for 12 years, gave up everything, and he kept plugging at it and plugging at it and He refused to back down. He's known as the father of the American Revolution. He would not accept defeat. Defeatism was not for him. And I, like to tell people all the time, if you have a defeatist attitude, we will not win this war. And we are in a war. We're in a war for our country, for our future. So unless we act, unless we get involved in every way that you can, any way that you can. I've spent countless hours on my columns, writing the letters that you need to write to, your safety and health committees on the COVID thing. The 17th Amendment, I will come up with that one pretty shortly. So I mean, if we have people active, we can do this. We can do this. It's not going to be comfortable, and we are in trouble as far as this economy goes. Like I said, 2008 was never addressed. All they did was throw money at the problem, and that's
right.
What this HR 1 is, throwing money. My God, some of it can't be spent until sometime next year and the year after.
What a joke.
Well,
Joke's on us.
It's obscene is what it is. It's absolutely obscene. And I do believe that more Democrats, because Trump did not win the election with only Republican voters or only independents.
That's
he
correct.
had
quite right.
A lot of Democrats. So I do believe that they're starting to wake up, especially in the southern states that are still, heavily against murdering the unborn. These people in the Democrat Party, I call it Lucifer's Democrat Communist Party USA. Oh, crap.
It's good.
Okay.
I think everybody somehow harbors, most everybody, a secret dream that things are going to go back to the way they were, back to normal. It's not going to happen.
Not
it's
normal.
It's sad. No. And what's ahead, when you have these pharmaceutical ghouls talking about, well, we may need to give that vaccine every year from here on out to protect against the new strains and the mutations and the variants that this coronavirus are spewing all over the place. It's all fear porn.
But
it's
the
all
good
lies.
news is, it's either Montana or one of the Dakotas that just passed no mandatory vaccines in their state. Okay? A huge number of our military are saying, no, I will not take it. Huge
they have a right to,
nurses,
by the way. It's not illegal medical therapy. It's experimental. They have a right to refuse experimental therapies.
Almost 40% in the last poll, Americans said they will not take the shot. A huge number of nurses say we will not take the shot. Okay? So there is a rebellion going on against this vaccine for a virus that's never been it's
a lie. It's no vaccine.
For a virus that has never been isolated.
Well said, young lady. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good evening and take care. Talk soon.
Okay. Stay safe. Right. Stay well. Stay warm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. There she goes, Devvy Kid, the one and only. We'll be right back. Hang on.